Attention all you small form factor fans out there that love you a good mini ATX motherboard or mini ATX build. There may be some additional formats motherboard wise hitting the market sooner than we think. Let's get into this. Hey everyone, it's about Lot Tech bagging some more tech news. It's been an awesome week so far. Now I came across an article recently on PC World actually regarding the Chinese motherboard manufacturer called Maxan. You may have heard of them before or seen their motherboards here and there on AMD platforms. Well, if you have, they're popular Chinese manufacturers just like Sapphire and some other ones like Jingjui and some other weird name ones are in China-based manufacturers. Now, the article in PC World said that Maxan is trying to do a bold change to the small form factor market. Now, we all know and thought that mini ATX was the smallest form factor that we know of today. Overall, it's been the smallest for years, and that's what most people know as the tiniest form factor when it comes to PC technology. Now, their Maxan is now trying to put a kind of twist on that on mini ATX. Now how we have eATX, which is like extended ATX versus the regular standard ATX motherboard sizes. This is, I guess you can call it a extended mini ATX for the most part, because from what the article say, it's pretty much a longer version of a mini ATX, but they do not call it extended mini ATX. They call it YTX. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to be received if it hits the market or when it hits the market. Then there's some caveats, pros and cons, why you want to call it with this size. But essentially, they kind of stretch a mini ATX motherboard layout so that it can hold two additional M.2 drives. Because you know, a mini ATX is mainly only hold one or two max. Usually you only see one on a mini ATX. But they're doing it to give additional extended it to give two additional spots for NVMe drives. Unfortunately, for what I'm seeing in the article, they say it's going to be Gen 4 only for whenever they decide to release this, which is kind of unfortunate because Gen 5 is like the more recent one nowadays. But yeah, essentially it's like an extended, it literally looks like an extended mini ATX motherboard. So you have mini ATX, just a mini ATX, it has two RAM slots all over to the right side. Just picture an additional probably a couple inches to the right of the RAM slots on our average mini ATX motherboard, and that's where they have the two. Now this enables the typical mini ATX to hold three, for the most basic mini ATX, hold three total now NVMe drives, which is good for expandability. However, the caveats I was talking about earlier with this new format and how weird and the design is it only would work in mini ATX and MATX cases. So you can't, it's going to look kind of weird and it's not going to be really compatible from what I'm seeing in the article with regular mid-tower ATX cases. But they said it only probably going to work because of the weird shape or length. It's probably only going to work in mini ATX and MATX native cases. So like the good example, the Lianli A3 micro ATX, I believe it is, it could fit in that. But anything higher than micro ATX is not going to have, the holes are not going to line up, it's not going to fit. So it's still left to be seen if when this hits the market, all the manufacturers are going to actually adopt it, because it's pretty out there as far as design wise, because no one ever heard or would have even thought of an extended mini ATX style format mini ATX motherboard. So that's still left to be seen if there is going to be welcoming for the new weird format, or people just going to kind of shut it down and say, nah, we don't need anything beyond a mini ATX for small form factors. Now, they didn't go into any details with the numbers, but they only did share that the two additional drives that this YTX format is going to have is Gen 4 times 4. So both are going to be times 4 from what I saw in the article. And so say you have a Maxan mini ATX already, and you have one NVMe slot that's Gen 5. Unfortunately, the two on the side is only going to be Gen 4 each times 4. And I think there's some like lane sharing from what I saw in the article briefly, they kind of vaguely mentioned or implied that there still will be lane sharing. So that's going to be kind of problematic because a lot of people don't like lane sharing. A lot of motherboards out there, a lot of manufacturers make the motherboards to be lane sharing. With select few that don't lane share. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. But y'all let me know in the comments below if this format YTX intrigues you. Do you think it's going to be well adopted over regular good old-fashioned mini ITX? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, this is by Tech signing out.